Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Unashamed Homeschool. I'm Kristen. If you're new to my channel, I'm a homeschool mom to two active boys. On this channel, we focus on bold faith and biblical foundations. Today, I'm going to be doing an in-depth review on the Level K Language Arts course book from The Good and the Beautiful. I'll let you know what we liked, what we didn't like, what worked for us, what didn't work for us, and if we used it again this year. So please stick around. Here is what comes in the Language Arts Level K course set. You get your course book, your Reading Booster A books, and your Reading Booster A cards. You also can purchase separately the My First Readers. These are really great books. My son really enjoyed these. With The Good and Beautiful, they have beautiful illustrations, and they also go along with the lessons. However, you're not prompted to read them during certain lessons. My First Africa Reader, as well as now they have a My First Poetry Reader. I took some of these pages out because I make notebooks for each of my kiddos each year at the end of the year. In Texas, we do not have to keep records of what our children are doing or send them to anyone, but I like to keep it for just for my sake. And just so they can see how far they've come from when they started school and, each year as they progress. So this I had actually pulled out and put into my son's notebook for the year. So this is the table of contents. And as you can see how it progresses through learning vowels, one-letter words, three-letter words. Now we have some spelling words here. It does teach them a little bit of writing. Word families, they do utilize sight words. Okay, and then at a glance of what you will be working on with your student. Spelling, there is art. This is The Good and the Beautiful, so there is art in here. Grammar, usage, punctuation, so it's a little introduction to grammar. Geography, there are some map work on here. And then the scope and sequence. So here is level K, and then it shows you how it progresses through to level 3, I believe, on this page. Yes, level 3. So here are the concepts practiced in level K, and that is this book. Okay, so before beginning level K, you want to make sure that your student knows all uppercase and lowercase letters by name and the most common sounds they make. This is available on the website, so if you're not sure, maybe your son or daughter can skip level K, I wouldn't recommend it because it's a good review, good foundation for them. You don't want to advance them too fast, even if they are solid readers. You still want them to develop that phonetic foundation. So the placement tests are available on the Good and Beautiful website. There are a few little projects that you will be doing throughout. You needed, the sticky notes were used for, I believe those are the words I put like on the window or something, and he had to go and grab them and read the word and bring it back to me. So fun little games like that, but it's all, most of the stuff you can find, I think, at your house. If you guys do a lot of crafts, we had like yarn, we had cotton balls, we had googly eyes, even those types of things. Here is the coordinated reader sets, so you can see they have different levels of those, and that is these here that I showed you. So looking inside here, they go with the scope and sequence of this course, okay? So when you're doing ending consonant blends, you can go to this to a specific story in here and focus on ending consonant blends, and you will see that, here we go, it'll tell you what you're working on, and that directly corresponds to what you're working on in the lessons here. Okay, so, and these are really cute stories. It starts off very simple, CVC words, very short sentences. So it really builds your students' confidence as they're reading and being able to read on their own. And like my son said, this was his first chapter book. So we would stick a bookmark in and wait for the next one, next lesson. So in these go, you can reread the stories, which I do recommend doing as your child, gains more confidence and things like that and becomes more proficient in reading. It's good to read stories over again, and kids love that. They love repetition. These did not, again, they did not come with the course set. You do have to purchase these separately, and then there's a poetry one that they now have. Another part of the course that we used is this free letter tiles app, and we actually still use this with his spelling. If he does not feel like writing out his spelling words now during his kindergarten year, he will use this letter tiles app. And as you can see, you use it through 3 levels, kinder, first, and second. And then they do have just the letter tiles, and that is exactly what it is, letter tiles. Then you can use the A through Z letter tiles, and that's what we use now. A little bit about the course. And then here we come to the reading booster cards. Okay, that's this here, and this does come when you purchase this set, the bundle. Okay, now these are to help them master the phonics that are introduced in here, but you go through at your child's pace on this one. There are little targets, and I'll show you on the lesson pages, that you don't want to speed ahead in here when you haven't reached it in here, if that makes sense. Okay, so you want to go through these in order, and we practiced, I think, 2 a day, and you do want to do them every day. It's not scheduled out in here because, again, you're going at your child's pace, so it's not scheduled in here. However, there are target lessons that you need to either have them done beforehand or have not reached them yet. I don't know. I will look in here in just a second. But and then before starting the course, again, you need to have mastered these here: blendings, consonants. And then this is card 1. So it's teaching them to sound out the word and put it together, that type of thing. And then when they've mastered this, I made him read through it. If he could do it fluently, I think like 3 times in a row is what we had. Then you can put a little sticker on it. It comes with little stickers in the back. We've obviously used all ours. So to kind of show you through, like this is 15 and 16, they would read the pyramid and add in a new word, and he became pretty fluent at these. Here's card 23, the ending CK. Y says the long I sound, consonant blends. And then there is built-in review within here. So this is the very last page here, and it says to go back and review these cards, which we did do that. And it was good practice for him. So once they finish these, then you do want to there's a Reading Booster B set that you'll want to purchase if you continue with The Good and the Beautiful. And Reading Booster B goes with level 1, whereas Reading A goes with level K. Okay, so here's the target symbols I was talking about. The child needs to have mastered some of the booster cards before completing certain lessons. So if they haven't reached, let me just show you, for instance. Okay, so by lesson 34, if they have not mastered Reading Booster card 15 in here, then you want to pause on the lessons and focus on the booster cards. Maybe go back through some of the lessons if you haven't done so already. So booster card 15 is here. So if they haven't mastered all the way through 15, then you don't want to start lesson 34, which is writing short sentences here. Okay. It does remind you to work on reading booster cards for 6 to 10 minutes every day. So this is a reminder, booster cards and lessons don't move at the same pace. Okay. Then it has an overview for every unit. So it's going to tell you what you're going through for every unit. Here's lesson 1. We went over vowels. They do like finger tracing to follow the path. Again, this is very visual, very kinesthetic. It does have a checklist. So everything in blue is what you're going to want to read like to yourself. Basically, this is for the teacher. And then everything in black is, it literally says read to the child. Okay. And then there are some extras down here. You do not have to do these. This is all if, you get done with the lesson, it's pretty quick. I mean, that's just 2 pages right there. And they want to do more, and they have the attention span to do more, which is very important. Then you can do these. They do have reading booster apps. They do have a reading booster app game that my son really enjoyed, and that really helped him with his practice. And then they have independent practice here. Now, that's not to say that you just hand this to your child and expect him to do it. You do need to help them with the directions, maybe help them with an example, and then they should be able to go through this, starting to be more independent in their homework type thing. And so they want you to start getting your son or daughter more independent in their work that they're doing on their own. So they do have built-in independent practice, and I think almost all the lessons. Yes, yep. So here it says have the child color all the uppercase vowels blue, all the lowercase vowels yellow. They should not color the consonants. Okay, so they got to be on the lookout for those. So I'm just going to flip through here some of these. Again, we did go through this whole course. So teaches pencil grip. I thought that was a good lesson. This is something I wouldn't really think about, but there's a right and wrong way to hold the pencil, and I remind my son about that all the time now. Here's use the app. So there are audio narrations on here, so it's good for those listening skills. Okay. So this one, there was a cutout page here, and I think it was like a little, I don't have it anymore, but the little slots here, and you feed like the words or letters through here, and they were supposed to read them. That was really cute. He really enjoyed that. Okay, so here's the target. They need to have mastered reading booster card 3 before reaching lesson 8. Let's fast forward here a little bit. So here's lesson 43. Oh, I did want to, I had to go and pull this out of the notebook because I had put this in my son's notebook. And as you can see, I do skip pages in here. So this is not exactly how the book looks because I did tear some pages out for their notebooks. So this is a Unit 1 review. The Good and Beautiful puts these in every so often to make sure that your child is grasping the concepts that are being taught here. Again, you don't want to hit the unit review unless you've done number 16 of the booster cards. So how they do it is you do the purple section day 1, and if they're making some mistakes in the purple section, so here's the purple section, spelling 3-letter words, long vowels here. If they're not, that goes into Unit 2. So if they're making mistakes on these purple sections, then on another day, not the same day, on another day, you want to have them do the yellow, the additional practice and see if they're, go back and do some review. And if they're still not grasping long vowels, spelling 3-letter words, that type of thing, then that would be your cue to go back and focus on some of those concepts again within the lessons. So, and then there is a reading assessment here. And this you're going to use a few times. So we did it lesson 39, 79, and 119. You'll have your kiddo read what's in the purple section here. You time them and then you mark the errors. And you can see over time they do better and better. And this was really good to see how my son was progressing in his readings. You can see started at 2 minutes and 22 seconds a minute, and then he went down to 52 seconds. Made 2 errors the first time, 1, and then 0 errors the last time. So this is a great tool to use. Okay, and then you have, again, Unit 2 overview. You have a reminder on the pacing of the booster cards and books. And again, using those first readers. I do recommend getting those if you're going to go with this course. It's good extra reading other than just using the books, and I will show you the books now. Right. The Reading Booster A cards. Okay, they come in this little box set. It's pretty neat. Here is all the books numbered. They are numbered right here in the top corner. And what they go over. So if you're working on CVC words in the course book, then you can have extra practice on reading CVC words in little books. These are pretty cute. Again, they're short sentences when you first start out. Very easy words for your kiddo to read. Beautiful pictures. They do not tell you when to use these, but these are good to keep practicing reading and applying the concepts that you've learned in the course book. And let's see, let's go to book 10. And it tells you on the back too what you're working on. So this is ending CK and ending ALO. And they get a little bit bigger or a little bit longer sentences, but still something your child can work on and master. And you can use these over and over again, which I do recommend. Again, repetition is good. Kids love to reread stories over and over again, so much so that I've memorized random books. This is book 20, and what it's working on here. This is the last book in the series, so you can see that it does progress, and my son was able to read these by the end of his pre-K year. Really beautiful illustrations. That's what I've always liked about Good and Beautiful, but again, we will not be continuing. Okay. So remember, these come with the course set, but if you want extra practice, I recommend getting those first readers. So I'm continuing on the flip through. I'm just going to fast forward here a little bit. Okay, so a little bit more preparation for the teacher here, but again, not a lot. This is still very much open and go. Very much open and go. My son really liked these independent practices because it was reading the sentence, and if it had to do with the story, then he got to color the star. If it didn't have anything to do with the story, he thought that was really silly, and then you didn't color the star. So he loved doing those. Okay, so going more to the end here. See, it has your child trace. I did not have my son do that because, again, we're doing a different handwriting. All right, so we're working on listening here, some comprehension. This was good. I liked this one. Rules of conversation. That was really good. Okay. So this is using the Letter Tiles app. So you would go and you would dictate the words to them, and they would spell it out using the app on the phone. Or you could use, just magnetic letters on the fridge or on a whiteboard. You do not have to use the app. So, okay, again, we've got beautiful artwork here. There's another video on the Good and Beautiful app. We're in lesson 107. So Here's another target. Okay. And that is the Good and the Beautiful Language Arts Level K. My son really did enjoy the Level K Language Arts program. We used it during his pre-kindergarten year, which was age 4 going on 5 in the spring. It worked really well for us. It was a very gentle introduction, lots of games and things that he could do hands-on, which my son is definitely a very kinesthetic, very visual learner. Again, with the Good and the Beautiful, it's very beautiful pictures, lots of illustrations, which my son really enjoyed as well. He loved all the games and the little readers that came with it, and he especially loved the My First Reader books, which you have to buy separately. Would we use it again? We actually did not use it for his kindergarten year. You just watch some of my other videos. We are moving away from the Good and Beautiful company because it is a Mormon creator. We are Christians and we do not want to support the LDS community. So take it or leave it. If you want more explanation on that, or if you have questions, please drop them in the comments below. However, if that does not bother you, do I think it's a solid language arts program? Yes, I do. It did work for us. Does it work in the upper levels? I have no idea. I've only used kinder first and second, I believe. I used with my older son. However, again, I'm moving away from it because it is not a Christian-based company. Even though they call it a Christian curriculum, at best it teaches good character, which is, definitely not a downside. That's a positive. However, I want a gospel-centered curriculum, and the Good and the Beautiful is not that. We went with Play and Talk Phonics for his kindergarten year, which he is just finishing up his kindergarten year, and I will do a flip through and a full review in another video. Thanks for watching. God bless, and as always, yes, you can homeschool.